Hi there, Erik here from the Building My Freedom Business podcast. Welcome to episode 6. And our guest today is Justin Meadows from Tunedwp.com, where they do everything but WordPress. They do web conversions, design, speed, mobile, SEO, and hosting. And in today's interview, I take a deep dive into his business, into his background journey of how he became an entrepreneur. But specifically, we're going to look at what his business offers and how they solve problems for their clients. I really hope you enjoyed this interview. All right. I want to welcome Justin Meadows from www.tunedwp.com. And we're going to take a deep dive into his business. Justin, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. I'm really curious to learn more about your business because the title of this podcast is Building My Freedom Business. And having looked at your business, I am 100% positive that the service that you offer will definitely contribute towards that journey of someone building their freedom business. But as you're going to introduce yourself to the listeners, Justin, could you give us a background story of your journey into entrepreneurship? Have you always been an entrepreneur? Did you do other work? And sort of tell us, when did your Tunedwp business started? Give us a bit of a background story.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I think just firstly, your point about my business being helpful to other people like building freedom businesses, that's absolutely true. And I think one of the reasons that my business, like one of the things that sort of happened there with my services is I've built something that I wanted and that I needed initially. And that's, yeah. But to roll back a bit, I think I probably have always had a desire to have my own business and be my own boss and that sort of thing. And I think that's come from my father being pretty entrepreneurial. He had a small business. He worked out of a shed in the backyard. He also helped business owners with promotional products. He did printing, embroidery, work uniforms, that sort of thing. So I learned a lot from him in that regard. And also he was the stay-at-home dad. Mum would be away a lot and he would be the one who was at home. And I quite like that. And I think that's something, when I had kids, I wanted to not have to be going off to work every day. I wanted to be able to stay at home with the kids and to have a business that allowed me to be around the kids and to make money from home, you know?
Yeah. Can I jump in there? Because I have this picture of you being around your dad, having his business. Did you ever get involved in, did he ever sign you up for do a job here, do this, do that?
Yeah, actually, one of the catalysts for me creating my own business was actually trying to get out of his business or stop working for him. No, it wasn't really, but it was, he was the job that his job was the job that I was escaping. It wasn't that it was really bad working for him, but when you're working for family, you're always doing a bit more work than you would for anyone else. There's different conditions. But it was good. And I learned a lot from working with him, and I was working full time in his company, but I could also see that the industry that he was in was becoming tougher and tougher. It was really hard for him. He was struggling. There was the market was changing. It was a lot easier to get cheaper imported goods, get things done in factories in Melbourne or shipped over from China to here in Australia. His locally based business started to really struggle against these external factors, and so I wanted to. I like the idea of having a business that was more future thinking and ride the wave of the online sort of market. And I've always had I've always liked playing around with technology and stuff. I actually made a little game on my graphical calculator in high school and did things like that. Messed around with code, but what really kickstarted me on the journey was a friend of mine had learnt about building an online business, making some money from a website, doing SEO to get the website ranked and then work out how to monetize it. And he helped me build my first website, which was a beer blog. And although I had a lot of passion for it and I loved it, it was very hard to monetize and make any money out of it. But I did learn, I learned a lot about getting the website ranked for some of the big and larger new beers that were being released at the time. I was, number 2 or 3 in Google and that sort of thing. So I learned a lot of great skills through that process. And then when I realized that I needed money, I thought the best way to do it is to apply those skills to local businesses and other businesses around me that could, really benefit from it.
Yeah. So tell me about Tunedwp. Because we've spoken a little bit, but we haven't actually shared. If someone would ask you, what is it that you do with your business? Who do you help, and what is it that you do? What would you say?
Yeah, so we support business owners, especially fast-growing businesses. So businesses that are established to a point where they're onto a winning sort of formula with their business. Things are going well, and now they really need to step up the game on their website to reflect, where their business is at, and maybe it's growing and changing a bit. So there needs to be a lot of work there, or they're spending a lot of money on marketing, and they need to make sure that the website's not leaking clients for them, and they're making the most out of their marketing dollar, and also that security of knowing that they've got a team behind them that's going to keep that website up and running and not, have those hassles. So that's really, we don't work on a particular industry, but I think businesses that are at that stage of growth where they're not big enough to have their own in-house marketing team or a full-time developer, and but they've got an established sort of business services or products that's working well. So where I sort of arrived at this, initially being in a small country town and having a few kids, I didn't have a lot of time. So I actually started in SEO, but like I said, I needed to fix people's websites to get the most out of the SEO. And so this was a service that I needed, was someone to come in and be able to help me with fixing up the websites. I hated that part of things at first, but once I hired a few people, some great developers that helped me out with that, I realized that was actually a winning business model for me. And I much preferred that over doing the SEO stuff where I was the expert and the bottleneck in the business. Now I've got a team of developers that are way better at it than me. And, it's turned into a much better business model. So we did wholesale initially. We worked with marketing agencies, and just they were doing the SEO or the branding or whatever it was, and we would just come in to be that tech support for them. But then I realized that I was relying too much on a few agencies and had some cash flow problems where, they go into their holiday period here in Australia through this up between around Christmas, and we weren't getting any more money coming in. We had no control over that. So Tunedwp was a way that I could work directly with business owners, have control over how I give advice to them and that sort of thing as well. And that's where we've been for the last 3 years. And it's going really well. I'm really happy with where things are at.
Yeah. I could hear from what you said earlier that you have quite clarity about who your customer is. You described the customer as someone who's been already on the path of success. And so that is your customer. Tell me, let's pretend for a moment that I am a customer like that. If I come to you, I noticed on your website that you offer an audit. What sort of things will you be looking at my website? That what I'm trying to think is what risk am I taking by not engaging with you? What am I missing out on? And what does the audit? What role does the audit play by discovering that?
Yeah, definitely. The audit has been a fantastic way to sort of have a framework for looking at how we can best improve a website. And there's been a number of things that have been hot topics over the years in terms of what makes a good website. And I've found that by having this framework, we have quite a holistic sort of view of all the main elements of your website that are going to make it a good performing website in terms of a business asset. And so, yeah, there's eight main sort of areas that we look at. The first thing is the first impression that your website conveys, and that has a lot to do with the branding and also the layout and design and the design flow going through the so that initial impression that you get through to how we arrive at what, you know, where you should be going to as a next step, become a customer or whatever. Then another big thing is building trust and authority with the website. It's a really large barrier to overcome with people handing over credit card details on the internet. You know, they've got to make sure that your business looks legitimate and you're putting your best foot forward, and you can build that trust with customers, and they are safe knowing that you're the best provider out there and the best solution for them. And then we look at other elements of the conversions, so capturing leads, tracking the users that have come to your websites, and making sure that we have good wording and copy on the website that will help you convert those website visitors into customers. Another really big one at the moment is page load speed. Google has been putting a lot of emphasis on this recently, and that's definitely a huge part of what we are doing on a lot of our clients' websites, is tuning up that speed, because the first few seconds of interaction with the website really does make a huge difference. Yeah,
these 8 points that you mentioned, is that the framework, that the performance framework that you're talking about on the website?
Yeah, yep, absolutely. Yeah. So we've got this framework of the eight main areas, and quite often people will come to us with a problem, for example, with speed. They know the website's slow and they come to us and they say, can you help me speed up your website? We often find that there's actually a lot of other things that are problems. And it's like, actually, I can't remember where this comes from, but the analogy is the chocolate coated carrot. You offer them what they want, but then you give them what they need. So that they might want speed, but speed might be just one of the problems with their website. That it might be other things, like one of the problems with speed is that Google is now using speed as a ranking factor. So there might be other things that will be hurting your ranking factors and hurting your performance in Google. And there also might be other things that, even if people come to your site from Google, they don't know how to buy from you because the buy now button is hidden, you know, whatever it is. So we look at all these different things because ultimately what people want is a website that's going to make more money for their business.
No, of course. And I was just thinking, and I'm just throwing this at you, so if you haven't got like an idea of an example, but have you got like a little tiny story, a case study of a client that you did something on their website and the transformation was this? Have you got a little story there? I know I'm just throwing it at you, so yeah, it's absolutely fine, but it's always interesting to hear.
I haven't collected a lot of case studies. I probably should sort of. I do know one example that springs to mind, and that was one client that came to us, and his website was really quite bad. He was publishing a lot of content. He's great at content publishing. He solves a really big problem for a lot of people, and he was publishing awesome content regularly, doing all the right things with that content in terms of Google rankings. But because the structure of his website was so poor, there was so many design problems that was making the user experience horrible. And Google now looks at user experience, and also obviously the users that are coming to the website were having these pop-ups, and the navigation was horrible to use, and the site just looked really dodgy. It was that trust factor thing, you know. It looked you're like you might get a virus by using this website. You know, and so by just tidying up the design, he got another designer to come in, help with the design, and we work with them. We improve the speed. We fixed up a number of things for Google's point of view, and his rankings just increased dramatically. And as well as that, his phone was, you know, ringing constantly. He's getting heaps more opt-ins and leads and emails. So for him, it made a massive difference. He was doing all the right things in terms of driving people to his site by creating content that solved a real problem and putting it out there, but the website was letting him down.
Right. I really feel I have a good idea about your business and what you offer. It sounds like, I mean, the one thing I was asking, is it like, do you engage with a customer like as a one-off process, or do customers might sign up to a particular program that's like a recurring payment to you, and you keep looking after their website? I mean, what sort of things do you offer? All right, we've lost a little bit of connection.
It's the ongoing recurring support plans. It's a great business model to have that. From my point of view, it gives us stability and reliability in knowing that we've got these customers to serve. They're going to be paying, and so we know we're secure in that side of things, so we can do our best work because we're not constantly just trying to look for clients. But also from the client's point of view, it's a lot better because they know we've got their back. When new things come around, we're on top of it. We're proactive in improving their websites and offering those suggestions. And we cover a number of things. So we are actually we're managing the hosting for our clients. Every month we're doing security maintenance, updating the plugins, updating the software, checking for errors, looking for ways that we can improve the site. And also unlimited support is one of the core parts of our service. We have a very rapid email support, and if people want things changed or done to their website, they just email us, we do it. It's all included in that retainer. There's no need to be quoting every single time and that sort of thing. So,
oh, Justin, the title again of this podcast is Building My Freedom Business, and the freedom business is different for everyone. If you hear the phrase freedom business, what does it mean to you? What do you think about when you hear that?
Yeah, definitely. Well, probably sipping mango daiquiris on the beach. No, look, actually, you know, for me, it definitely was about travel. The freedom to be able to travel, the freedom to be able to control my own time and not have a boss and not have a job that I have to rock up to 5 days a week. You know, to have that flexibility to control my life. I'm a bit of a control freak in that way. So yeah, I wanted to have that freedom and control. I wanted to be able to work from home and spend more time with my kids, not having to leave the house and while my kids were so little. But definitely travel's always been something that I've loved, and I did take a year off to travel around Australia with my kids, and you know, we'd wake up at a new beach every second day, you know, like that sort of thing. Like, that's amazing. And also having an international business allows me to justify going overseas to conferences in Europe, and also going and hanging out with my team in the Philippines. Like that, all that stuff I love. Absolutely.
Yeah, talk about team. Talk about team. That is interesting, because it might be the answer, but it might not be the answer to the next question. Is people who are at the beginning of their journey and really dream about building their freedom business, you know, and when I talk about building a freedom business, I you know, like I said, freedom business is different for everyone. For me, it was the ability to travel from England to the Netherlands, to see my family as often, and you know, to be location independent. You know, or at some point we took our oldest son out of school, and I wanted to be able to be there at home in the home education program. So, but people who are at the beginning, what would you say is one or two really important ingredients of working towards that freedom business?
Yeah, I think so finding a problem that you can solve for someone is really key, and a problem that people are willing to pay for. So that absolutely is the biggest thing, is making sure that you've got a really good offer that's solving a real problem that people are happy to pay good money, and you can, you know, profitably provide that. Making sure that you've got that one thing, rather than doing something that you think's cool, like my beer blog, but then, you know, just figuring you'll work out how to make money later, you know, like focus on, you know, making sure you're getting that money stuff sorted first. I think also one thing like taking from my experience, one thing I would do differently winding back is I would probably hold on to the stable job or make sure I had a bigger runway before I took the leap and really went all in on this is going to be my full-time job now. I did, work it out, but it was very stressful, and I think I did it on hard mode. I could have done it easier.
No, I can relate to that. With freedom comes quite a bit of stress sometimes,
Absolutely.
and pressure. However, for some reason, I do believe that subconsciously that's also what we long for, because when things stay the same, we miss the challenge and variation in life. So
yes,
it's always finding the right balance. But my last question to you is, we got connected through Superfast Business, run by James Franco. You've been a member for many, many, many years there, and I just want to know, how is it that you're benefiting from being part of such a community? How is it beneficial for you?
Oh, there's a number of ways actually. Working with different people, both as clients and suppliers within that group. Like I've got a number of people from within the community to help me out with building my business, and also I've helped out a number of people in the community, and through that network also helped other people. So that has definitely been a huge thing.
Yeah.
But as well as that, learning from other people's challenges and applying how they are, dealing with those challenges to my situation. And a lot of the times, especially I've been part of high-level masterminds and that sort of thing. There was Silver Circle Group is part of that same community. Yeah. And even though I felt like a lot of the other people were way ahead of me and that they were having problems that was a long way down the track for me, learning from how they were dealing with those challenges and that sort of thing helped me set up my business to avoid those problems later on. So that's definitely really beneficial. And also, I think when you're helping out other people in a community like that, when people have problems, helping other people always, I think, can be beneficial as well, because before I go giving advice, I want to make sure that I've got it right. And so quite often I'll do a bit of research and solidify something that I thought was right, but I wasn't really sure, and do it, just that sort of thing. And definitely just the discussions at face-to-face meetings, which thankfully we're able to have at the moment here in Australia. We're back on, but we've just had some more lockdowns. But yeah, going down tomorrow to meet up with some of this Melbourne Superfast Business crew, which is always great, and just chatting to people who are on the same kind of path and in the same kind of headspace. When you talk to a lot of other people who are not entrepreneurial and don't do online marketing stuff, they eyes kind of glaze over, and you just don't they don't get
it. I definitely recognize what you said about the Silver Circle, or people that maybe were further ahead. I mean, I'm part of the intensive coaching group, and it's interesting. People like Gert Malek from Seo Leverage, about maybe 14 months ago, he had maybe one or two people on his team, and now he's got many, I can't remember exactly, but a lot of people on his team. And I've just started the process of interviewing VAs. So I can see myself being at that place where he was so many months ago. And it is good to have someone, to surround yourself with people who just gone ahead of your journey, and to follow their footsteps and learn from their journey.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Really valuable.
Yeah, Justin, I really, again, appreciate you, man. I appreciate it. It's evening. A glass of scotch is waiting for you after this interview. Yep. But for the people that say, man, I am at that place in my business where I need to really give my website some quality time, some TLC, some allow it to optimize the performance of your website. That's one of your taglines. So where can people go? Remind them again where they can go to learn more about that. And if people want to connect with you, what do they need to do?
Yeah, so tunedwp.com is the website. on there is a performance audit. Currently it's free, and so you can jump on there and just get a performance review. There is a paid one where we go into more detail, but yeah, there is that free option as well. So we can just let you know what we think we can do to improve your site, and you can decide what to do from there. Or if you just want to reach out and have a question, support@tunedwp.com is the best way to reach me.
Cool. All the details will be in the show notes. Justin, thank you again for your time, your energy, your passion for your business and for life. I appreciate it, and hope to speak to you soon, mate. Take care.
No worries. Thanks for having me, man. Cheers.